Who's been your favorite guest so far?
Chris Tan, dog. Chris Tan is number one. That's why I say all. Let's see, who's favorite guest? I really liked. I had this guy Eric Goodman on. He's like a foundation, like a workout person. Mm-hmm. I had a zoologist on who was a pangolin expert.
Pangolin
During the
pandemic.
Remember when like pangolins were the thing? Everybody was like, it was the fucking pangolins. Uh-huh. I had posted a funny video about that, and a pangolin expert reached out to me, and she was like, "It's not the pangolins. If you ever want to talk about it, let's talk." And I was like, "Come on the podcast."
Hell yeah!
And we had a fun episode, so that was a good one. Comedians, Maddie Stew is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Shout
Joe
out Maddie
too.
Stew. Joe, yeah, we had the theme. That's why you were like, "What do I need to bring?"
Right.
And now I'm thinking, I'm like, should I have everybody dress up? It'd be a lot of work, but you know,
if you have like a certain theme for the episode, I think it's because Joe has like a bunch of jokes about how he looks like Malfoy.
Yeah, I thought it when I saw him. I was like, that's a blonde man. And then he literally opened up with Malfoy jokes, and I'm like, okay, he knows it. You know. All right, let's start this show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. Today, I have none other than an OG of Austin, an Austinite in the house, the comedic talents of Chris Tan. Thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Did you just take another sniff?
I did, yeah. When you said Austin, I was like, yeah, that's something to cheers to. Huh?
Yeah. Chris Tan brought on the podcast, and just she showed up here with a little bottle of what? How do you say it? Because
I just call it the inhaler.
The inhaler. That's definitely not the inhaler, though. That is
the nasal inhaler.
What spices are in there? Because it's
eucalyptus.
That's eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus. I have to stop bringing this on podcasts. I think I plugged this,
Are you sponsored
this product
by
like 8 times.
Where do you buy that from? Because I've never seen that in the store.
I got it from Thailand. I can't find it here.
How long ago were you in Thailand?
This is like 2017. My dad goes back every now and then, and so he'll get some
so
too.
this isn't the same 2017
No. I still have like a stash.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that good where you're just like, I need this all the time.
Yeah, dude. This is like my trademark in the comedy community. This is my legacy, dude. It's not my yellow fever jokes, no matter how good they are.
Okay.
It's this green stuff.
Because when I first saw it, I was like, that is the most Asian thing to show up to a podcast with a little bottle of eucalyptus plants to be like, this is for smelling. And it's just the way the bottle looks. Like it's a Hong Tai brand herb inhaler. And it's delicious. Can I have another sniff?
Go for it.
Is there a limit on how many sniffs you can take?
No. The beauty of it is if you close it up for like 2-3 days, just don't open it. It goes back to normal.
Really?
Yeah. You lose it before you lose the smell.
Wow.
I've lost like 8 of these.
That's amazing. Thank you for doing the podcast, man. I appreciate you coming out here. I think you're a very funny comedian. I like to make people feel uncomfortable with compliments.
You're a great liar. I feel very comfortable.
Yeah, we were talking before the podcast, bonding over the fact that both of us are former FCs, fat children.
No. Oh, I was like, all right, jujitsu? Fuck no, dude. No, dude. I'll pull a gun out. I'm not going to try to roundhouse you.
That's hilarious. No, fat children.
Oh, yes.
FKs might have been better, fat kids.
FK, yeah.
But together we make fat children. What made you a fat child? Have you ever got to the bottom of it?
Good question.
And a broader question, what do you think makes a fat child? Other than the objective of overstimulation of food.
I was talking to my therapist, and we addressed my depression, and then he was like, I was like, all right, I think we fixed this. Mission accomplished. She's like, no, just come back, couple more sessions. We can fix everything. We can find out why you're a fat kid. And I was like, I'm good.
Oh, man.
So I don't have the true answer for you.
Your therapist, job security, was like, no, you're not good yet.
Yeah,
we still got this.
I was like, no, dude, you're not cheap. Yeah.
Damn.
No, but on the surface level, my family just works at a grocery store, so I was there every day. So I would have like 3-4 big meals every day. Like
That's honestly understandable.
Yeah.
A grocery store. Do they just worked in a grocery store or okay?
Yeah, they managed it. So like my grandma was like cooking every day. Grandpa, they're like personal chefs.
Really?
Yeah.
What grocery store?
MT Supermarket. It's on North Lamar. It's like Chinatown Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like a restaurant in it as well, or
no, there was like
the
it was like a
deli?
grocery store, so they'll have like a kitchen in the back,
Okay.
and then like an office where there's like a table. It's like a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up kind of in a grocery store?
Essentially, yeah. I for the first 13 years of my life, I spent more time at the store than I did at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Everything
Everywhere,
All at Once?
Yeah.
I was talking to my fiance about it because I grew up with Asian friends, and there was so much of that culture where it was like the business, everything was wrapped around the business. Where it was like if they ran a convenience store, they lived upstairs. If they ran, a laundromat, there was some kind of family connection where everybody was always there. Mm-hmm. And that's how your childhood was always kind of at the store.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, it's like the focal point of the family.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is it like just like being at a grocery store like that all the time?
Shit, man, I would get into fights with the kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh man, I wish like my grandma and my mom would be there. They remember it more since I was a kid, but I remember there'd be like this bubble gum section with like candy and all that, and I would like guard it. And like it was like my home.
Guarding
Like,
it like from theft or from just
no,
even
like
using
I got offended. Like if we were like 6-year-olds and like you tried to steal this, I'd be like, "What the fuck, dude? That's my high chew, dude. It's my bubble gum. Don't touch it." So I got into a lot of fights as a kid. Like I would like bite kids.
You bite them?
Yeah, I was that fat. I'd like to eat a person too.
That's a tight move to bite someone. That's the thing is when you bite someone as a little kid, they remember you for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like you really imprint, no pun intended, on that person. They're always going to be remember when they were a little kid trying to buy some fucking bubble gum.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Oh, you see this? Fat kid, 93, North Lamar,
Dude,
bubblegum section."
Especially if you got them on the arm where it showed a lot and people would ask and be like, "Oh, what's that scar?" And they just have flashbacks. They just don't fucking chew Bazooka Joe anymore. Wow. So would you get in trouble? Like your mom be like, "Dude, we need to sell that. That's a customer."
No, I think they just thought it was quirky. They're like, "Oh, it's cool. Just watch out." Because it just made it like a cooler family business. They're like, you could go to HEB or Whole Foods, but like, you got great prices here. And just stay away from the bubble gum.
Yeah, you might get bit.
Yeah.
You go to HEB, you're going to be able to
Builds
just get it
character.
safely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keeps Austin weird. I kept Austin weird.
Wow. What is it like growing? So when you, man, I have so many questions about Austin now. Growing up in Austin, do you have a different perspective of it being weird? Or is it like, do you understand the weirdness of Austin?
I would say more now than ever.
Yeah.
Because my family was like immigrants. They didn't really do like the Austin-y stuff. Like I never went to the Bat Caves.
Yeah.
I went to the Kite Festival. That was about it. The closest extent to like an Austin event.
Yeah.
So I never really like, I didn't even know what South Congress was until I was like 17. So I was kind of like not sheltered from it. Like I could have gone if I wanted to. They wouldn't have stopped me. But I was just like, we live in a different world.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between like Austin and Pflugerville. I was just like, that's that part of town.
Yeah. Is the grocery store still up and running?
Yeah. It's been like 37 years or something at this point. It's been a while.
Wow. Did you work in it growing up? Like once you started hitting an age where you could have a job? And
Yeah. First job at 16. And then just like coming back in the summers, like in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely like a minority thing because I mean, I'm Puerto Rican and my dad did construction. So like I'd be on construction sites at like 6, 7 years old.
Oh, damn. You had it worse. Oh, that's way worse, dude. I hate moving furniture. That sucks.
Dude, yeah. Those summers were rough. Like just busting out concrete and all this crazy stuff. But it does build character and it definitely like, I tried getting a regular job, and it just like when I was like 16, I remember I even told the people at Vaughn's, it was a grocery store. I tried working at a grocery store, yeah, doc. And I was like, I'll clean the toilets, I'll do whatever you need. And they were like, do you have a car? And I was like, I don't have a car. And they were like, sorry. So then I had to go work construction again.
What? Why would a grocery store want you to?
I don't know.
It's a big grocery store. Like, why?
I don't know. I think my dad paid him off. He's like, I can't lose that cheap labor, you know?
How much were you getting paid?
It wasn't street legal what was happening. It was all under the table, you know? Which it kind of evens out, but it's like, you know, I dealt with it where, did you feel like you wouldn't necessarily, like maybe you weren't as passionate about the job or enjoy it as much because it was so connected to your family?
Like, I think the passion was there. The hard work was missing.
Really?
Just because it's like doing chores to an extent, because I saw it as home. Like I could go upstairs and play the PS2 after everything was said and done.
Yeah.
And so like I would still murder somebody if they like try to fuck with the store, even at this age.
Yeah.
But like it's just a different world, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
you're very passionate about killing people with the store.
Ah, shit.
You grew up from biting people for bubblegum to now murdering as an adult.
Well, my grandparents are there every day. My mom and my aunt are there every day. So no, the serial killer in me really just shined. Let's change topic.
How much has Austin changed since the pandemic? Because I mean, I got here mid-pandy. So I just heard from everybody about the influx.
Since the pandemic. I kind of moved back the same time as you, actually.
Oh, really?
I was in New York around the same time. And then like maybe 3 days into the pandemic, I came back. So
you
there's
said,
like
fuck this with New York, and you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a shoebox. My room was like the same size as this place.
Really?
Yeah, this little studio.
So your room, like where you actually like everything was for you?
Yeah, like all my possessions were in a room like a little bit bigger than this.
Yeah.
But the apartment was like 2-3 other guys. One guy was a conspiracy theorist who like
that's rough.
He had a lot of theories about the Jews.
Oh man.
It was rough, dude.
Man, yeah. In that kind of situation, I can see why you'd be like, I'm out. I can't.
Oh yeah, I was the first pussy to run, dude.
Really? Man. So you started doing comedy in New York. So you never done it in Austin, and then you moved back.
Yeah.
And that's where you started doing it in Austin. Where'd you first go up at in New York?
I was first an improv kid. So okay. I did improv a lot for a year. I did improv at the bottom of like an Irish restaurant, Irish pub. That was a lot of fun. And then first time I did stand up was at the Pit, which is an improv place, but they did stand up, and they just throw you in like a little basement. It's literally a room that's like about the same size as this.
Really?
Yeah. And then you pay $5 just to eat dicks.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I talked about my trip to the Church of Scientology. I took their IQ test and their personality test. Yeah.
How'd that go?
I got 100 on the IQ test, so I'm like average smart by their standards.
They have their own special IQ test compared to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Their personality test is even wilder.
They're testing your lemurs? No.
Lemur? What do you mean by lemurs?
They have like a thing that you hold, and it tests a certain level of your Scientology-ness. I don't know. What is the personality test?
The personality test is basically to find out like how depressed you are and find out how easy it is to sell shit to you.
And did they want you? They were like,
yeah, they wanted me, dude. They're like, man, you look like you have so much potential, but you're sitting in the backseat. You don't take enough initiative. That's why you need us. And then part of me was like, holy shit, he's kind of right. He's kind of right, dude.
So did you end up signing up or?
No, the guy was like too freaky. He's like started like holding onto my shoulders. He like locked the door. And
was it
like,
Tom Cruise?
Nah, man. I would have let him do stuff to me and then me too'd his ass.
Yeah.
I would have let him do it.
That would have been a good investment. So did they just stop you, or were you like, let me check it out? Like you went in to inquire, or they just stopped you?
No, they're super welcoming. They have like a media room where you just watch a little like trailer for Scientology. Very well produced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just give you tours. It's like in the heart of Times Square, which just shows you how much money they have. Dude, they have like a little mansion
Yeah.
next to like American Eagle.
That's crazy in Times Square.
Yeah.
I know in California, I would see the Scientology buildings, and they were the nicest buildings, and they would do wild shit. I remember they released something like 100,000 balloons, and it was this huge problem because they all flew into the ocean and just popped, and it was like this huge thing. And then Scientology did a huge cleanup and everything and got so much press about it that I was like, I feel like they planned that to like get the bad press so they could get good press.
Interesting.
They're a step ahead, man. I'm worried about them, you know?
Yeah. I've been reading a book about them, and I resonate with the creator a lot, actually. Yeah, because I used to be an I used to work at an investment bank, and then like I quit to become like a wilderness guide. Now I'm like doing comedy, so just like a lot of stuff before. Same thing with this guy. He like
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard, dude. He was like very charismatic. People were like I really like that guy, but he was like a failed writer,
Science
like,
fiction,
adventurous. Yeah. And then he started a cult, and I was like, this is like my future autobiography here, dude.
You think about starting a cult one of these days?
Comedy doesn't go well, you know. I think it'd be fun.
It's good to keep in your back
just
pocket.
Don't fuck kids, and just like,
it's a good golden rule.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, Maddie, Stu, and I were talking about Scientology, and he wanted to go undercover and explore Scientology and really see what everything was. I told him it's dangerous. It's like you go undercover for too long, you start believing it. And they bring Tom Cruise and John Travolta out, I might stay.
Yeah.
You know?
Maddie's the kind of guy where he's like, Evan, I know we talked about just fucking around, but they got a point, man. I'm on the third step.
Hey man, you know, I think I'm gonna hang out for a while. You know, see what he's gonna do for me.
I've been missing the community I found in the Navy. You know.
Yeah. So, what was it like going up for the first time doing stand up for you?
Doing stand up.
Was it quite different than improv?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like a colder atmosphere just because everybody wants to go up. Improv's very warm and supportive.
Right.
It's easier to get laughs just because people are just happy. You're like a kid again. I kind of had like somewhat of an armor at that point. I've been doing improv like maybe 5-6 times a week for a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's all stage time.
Yeah, it was a decent amount. It's like I bombed, but I was like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. That is interesting to think because improv, like it being warmer, is almost like doing crowd work. Like I notice crowd work, if the crowd knows that it's crowd work and it's not written, they give you way more laughs knowing that you're improvising this on the spot. And it's like you'll get more off of less. But then if they know that you're doing a bit, like you go into your material, they're not going to give you that same grace.
Yes.
Of you making it up out on the spot.
Because when you break the fourth wall, it just makes it feel more real.
Yeah.
It's like going from 2D to 4D.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like interactive. I went to an improv show when I was doing comedy. I was hosting a show. And then after they were going to have improv, and the person who ran a place was like, stay, watch the improv, kind of get an idea. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was sitting there and the people all came out in black stuff, all black on black. And they went, the emotion is blah, blah, blah. And they just said an emotion and then they said a scenario and then they just started doing their thing. And I was like, I thought you guys got things from the crowd or like there was zero improv. They literally went into something that they all knew the two things that they like the ideas. And I was like, I don't think this is improv. And it wasn't really that good too. I was like, you guys prepared
Were people
this?
laughing though?
There was like odd laughs from like the quirkiness of it, but it was like I had to leave halfway through. I was like, I can't be in here. This is starting to like absorb into me, you know?
I think you haven't done improv, but there's a big difference between bombing and improv and bombing and stand-up.
Really? What's the difference?
The difference is with stand-up, you can kind of leave early if you want. If you have like a minute left, a minute and a half, they're not going to kill you if you leave early. People would be happy because then other people get more time.
Yeah.
But with improv, I was doing a long scene. First time ever. It's like 10-15 minutes. I just wasn't having fun. I was also depressed at the time. And so I just remember like pretending to dig a shovel, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? I'm digging up like Santa Claus right now. What the fuck? And then just for like a good 6 minutes, I just stood in the corner and I was like, this fucking sucks. I can't leave. Because then my partners would be like, what the fuck? Elf? You elf? Where are you going?
Man, that's
It
hilarious.
sucked, dude.
What is like, so improv is like they give you ideas and you have a scenario and they're like, you're an elf. And then it's like, this elf is digging. What is he digging?
No, with the improv that I saw in New York, everywhere, it was just like a crowd they'd be like, oh, give us a suggestion. They'd be like, oh, Pokemon and refrigerators.
Yeah.
And you just play off of that wherever it goes. You build the scenario, you build the characters.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think it made you better at stand-up?
Did it for the first year. I haven't done it since. So I think it built a foundation for just naturally being a little bit looser.
Yeah.
Like more physical, I
Yeah.
would say.
Do you still get nervous for stand-up?
Yeah, dude, I bombed so bad last week.
Really?
So bad.
What
dude.
happened? I love bomb stories.
Oh man, it wasn't even like that noteworthy. It just really sucked.
Yeah.
It was at the creek,
Okay.
and then I just went out like cold. It was like kind of dead already, but like there was like 100 people.
There was 100 people?
That was a lot of people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I just sucked a dick.
What was it? New material? Was it?
No, it was like stuff that's worked quite well before. I think it was just because like I wasn't loose enough.
Yeah.
Like if I had more of an improv brain and just been like more loose and be like in the room,
Yeah.
it would have gone completely different.
Yeah. That's a huge thing. Like what you just said, it being in the room. I've had that. I bombed at, it was like at Roma one time where
That doesn't matter.
it was during a show and someone was yelling something out. And I was so, it's like, I hadn't gotten all the cobwebs off of doing stand up in the sense of like, I don't know, you hit a good, like you get everything lubed up when you're doing shows, you're hitting spots, like everything, you're performing like 7-8 times a week. You feel good. But then if you miss a week or something happens where you can't be on stage, that first time back, you're like, oh, can I do this
Back
shit
to
anymore?
square one.
Yeah, like it's weird. If you go 2 or 3 weeks, at least for me, I'm like, I don't think I can make people laugh.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing that you always have to be on stage. And I remember this, I was so in my own head and like not in the room. I was thinking about the jokes and the reactions I was getting. And this lady started yelling stuff out and it made me clam up and I just didn't handle it well. And I was so angry at myself that I was like, I could have made that such a funny moment if I'd been loose and just had fun with it and been in the room. But I was too like, oh, what's my, you know?
Right.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's just a situation where like experience is the best teacher. I think for
Yeah.
the first 2 years of doing it, if I would take like a week off, I'd be like back to square one. But after like you get up like 800-900 times or whatever,
Yeah.
it's the breaks that you take. It's like less detrimental
Yeah.
to where like if I take like a week off, it feels like I only took a day off back then. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah. It compounds.
So just the ability to perform after like a little break, that's a skill, I think.
yeah.
Because you think about like touring comics who only do arenas and a couple club spots every year. They don't get up that much. Like
That's
I'd
true.
say like 150 times,
That's
which is
true.
not that much.
They just have all that experience.
Right.
in
Even though
years.
they did hours and all that, they have experience. They can still They're not doing like 15 spots a week.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And you've seen every problem and you know the solution to it
Right.
when something happens.
At that point, it's just like being in the moment and then letting experience kind of take over for you.
Yeah.
I can't talk too much. I bombed my ass off last week, but that's my 2 cents after doing like 1,000 mics.
No, yeah, I love that. That's I forgot who I was talking to about. It might have been Maddie, but it's like the bombs in the beginning, you're never gonna bomb as bad as those beginning.
Oh,
You don't think so?
dude, are you kidding me, dude?
Well, let me finish. You don't bomb as bad because the bombs in the beginning, I didn't know why I was bombing. Like things would happen where I didn't have backup material that I could go to. Like when I first started, I'd start bombing. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't acknowledge the bomb. And then I wouldn't have other material I could go into.
That's a good point.
And then what I would do is I'd be like, I don't know why that went bad. The jokes are just terrible. But then now if something starts bombing, like I bombed last Tuesday, just the jokes weren't working. And then I went, all right, you guys aren't liking this joke, huh? And then like I started riffing off of that and they start laughing. And then I went into material that I know worked and then I got them back.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, if this joke wasn't working, I'd be like, shit, I don't have a plan B.
I see.
You know? I'm sure there'll be plenty more. Like the feeling, I guess it's less of a helpless feeling and more of a cringe feeling now when I bomb, where I'm just like, ugh.
That could have gone better.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, I think.
Now, before we started this podcast, I did research, and one of the things that I saw on your profile that I had to ask about, and I inquired a little bit, but that you are the bull riding champion.
Yeah, dude. 5.6 seconds. Yeah.
Did you really ride a bull for 5.6 seconds?
Yeah. It was with a bunch of comedians. Dean Stanfield, he like put on the whole show.
Shout out to Dean.
Yeah, and I was the underdog. They had like a betting pool. I had the least amount of odds.
Really?
Of winning the competition. Yeah, the bookie made like $400 off me. I didn't get shit.
Dude, you are
fucking dominated that bull.
Dude, and you are that's the thing is you're the native Texan. And they were just like you were.
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
you were the ringer. Like you had it in you, and they just.
Somebody was like, "Man, how do we not know Chris is gonna win? He can ride dragons. He can ride a fucking bull."
What was the competition? It was just
riding bulls.
Who else was in it?
It was Dave J, Adam Lucky, Zach Silverman, Spencer Cavins. He's the one who talked about dragons. Yeah, it was a fun crew.
And you beat all of them. Spencer's pretty athletic. He
got his ass kicked. He fell in the pin, dude.
Damn, Spencer. I thought you had it like that.
Yeah, it was it hurts to shit after a while.
Really?
Yeah, I would say it took a good 10 days before I could like really do this. Cause you work out a weird muscle. It's like your inner thigh, like right here. Dude, I remember I was trying to hook up with a girl and like I couldn't spread my legs past this point. And it's like I was like in my head, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do doggy style with this girl. And so just to like see if I could actually do the position, I was like, let me go to the restroom real quick. And so I was just like on the ground, like on my knees. I was like, can I do it? Can I do it? I was like, all right.
You got it?
Yeah. Only if she lifts her leg up like this though.
Oh man. What was it like right before riding the bull? Was it nerves?
Dude, even the instructor had no belief in me. He's
Really?
like, you ain't got no rhythm, boy. You ain't got no rhythm. I'm the mechanical bull. Dude, I was the worst one.
But when it came to game time on the actual bull.
Yeah, I was like in the moment. I was just like, just ride it. It was like, yeah.
You just have to go with it. You can't try to fight with it. You got to like.
No, it was, I'm not a good dancer, but it's how I imagine being a good dancer.
Yeah.
Just like being in sync with the bull to where it's not like your enemy. It's like a part of your body.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was fucking wise.
That was, dude, that's a quote right there. Put it on a wooden piece of board and it'll end up in some white people's kitchen on the wall.
Become a cutlery board.
Yeah. On the bottom of a charcuterie. Wow.
Yeah.
Chris, man. That's just crazy. Because that's so dangerous riding a bull.
Somebody did like break a rib.
Really? That day?
Yeah, Sam Castillo. Although he is the most frail out of everybody.
Did you get hurt other than just the soreness?
That kind of stepped on my leg. It wasn't that bad. But
the bull did?
Yeah.
Do you remember the bull's name?
I don't know, like Sparky.
Sparky. Sparky didn't have it.
I was told, I was promised after I won that I'd get some belt fuckers.
Nothing.
They gave you like a champion belt, the bull riding champ belt. And they're like, you got some belt fuckers here, Chris. They like winners.
That's hilarious. Was there an audience and everything?
It's like 200 people.
Holy shit. So you did this in a rodeo.
Yeah. They don't even have like liability signs like how if you go to a restaurant, they have like, oh, employees must wash their hands. It's literally just they went to Word, they typed, we're not responsible for injuries, and they just printed it out.
I wonder if that holds up in court. So I told you this before the podcast that I had my own history with being a fat child.
Yes.
I actually know my origin story of where the fatness started because I was actually a very skinny little kid. And then one day it all changed for me. I decided I was home alone or my sister was upstairs and I saw the pantry with all the cereal. And I said, I wonder if I kept eating all that cereal, what would happen? So I literally got out a gallon of milk and the boxes of cereal. And I started pouring bowl after bowl of the cereal until my stomach was distended. Like it was like,
what does that mean, distended?
Like I can't hold it in. Like I looked like a pregnant child. Like it was just completely full. And I was like filled to the rafters and I just kept eating as much as I could. I never went back. That was the last day as a skinny kid.
No
It
way,
literally like
dude.
stretched my stomach or something, or I just broke my brain with what food was. And I just started eating so much food.
Dude, that was like if you did meth.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only crappy thing, did you enjoy the food though?
I remember the first
cereal?
few bowls. I really enjoyed it. And then it literally was like meth because I was like, after that, I'd be like, let me see if I can eat an entire bag of chips. And I remember eating an entire bag of tortilla chips. And I had a hot sauce from Del Taco. I was like, let me just put this on here. Ate an entire bag of chips. And then I never stopped. I just kept eating food. In high school.
So you were purely fat out of curiosity?
I was a curious fat, you know? It was just something to do.
Spoiled brats.
Dude.
Some of us had psychological problems. Our therapists couldn't even unravel.
I mean, 1000% it was a coping mechanism where I was like, let me just distract myself from life and just in the name of science and exploration, you know? Because that's the thing. I grew up pretty isolated. I was homeschooled.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Up to what age?
So I was homeschooled kindergarten through till fourth. And then I went to fourth grade for half a year, got kicked out for fighting. And then I went back to school freshman year in high school.
Okay. Well, that is the worst time to start.
Dude, it really is. And ironically, the night before freshman year started, I went to the county fair and rode a mechanical bull and like fucked up my leg. So I was limping the first day of school.
Limping new kid who would fight kids.
Who just doesn't
Watch
know
out for
where
that Puerto Rican kid, guys.
and I didn't know where my classes are. And I was just like, But yeah, so that's when I first went back to school. And that was insane. Just the anxiety of not knowing how to interact with people. And like,
You said you had a sister, right? Any other siblings?
yeah, 2 brothers.
2 brothers. Oh, okay.
So
So,
I'm the
you
youngest.
weren't complete. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like, but the thing is I was also younger. So
Were they also homeschooled?
for part of it. And then they went to like high school and school. And then but I think my parents were just really busy and there wasn't a lot of like actual teaching. Like I didn't sit down and do schoolwork every day. Like I would wake up and be like, I'm going to go have breakfast. And then I got to do a little bit of work in my book and that's it. Like it wasn't like from this time to this time you do school. It was like I could do whatever bullshit I was supposed to do in like 45 minutes. And then I just play all day. Like I just go in the backyard and just explore.
Whoa. Who was teaching you?
I mean, we didn't have anybody. Like my mom was like in charge of all of it, but like we didn't really have anybody that
Sony
would
TV.
would check on us or anything. So it was like, and they were just busy. My parents were busy all the time. So it was like, yeah, so it was hard. And I guarantee food became a weird coping thing where I would like distract myself.
I can see that. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because whenever I'm home, that's when I eat the most.
Yeah.
Just because there's like literally nothing else to do. You can go on YouTube, sleep, and then like jack off. It's like there's not that much to do at home.
And you can't do that many times during the day before you get sad, you know? But yeah, that's what I would wake up and I would like on a random day, I'd be like, it's Tuesday. I'm going to dress up like a cat and try to scare the mailman. Like that's what I would do.
Are you a 90s kid?
I was born in 87.
Okay.
So I think I'm a little older.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Old man, dog. Got wisdom. But yeah, that was
You got a real imagination. So you were able to profit off of that pretty well then.
Yeah, well, that's what I don't look at it as a completely bad thing because like I look at other people's childhoods and I like sometimes wish I had that where it was like go to school, you have all these friends, you have like, just like structure because I'm also someone now, like I handled it well now. Like I'm at a point in my life where it's like I've channeled it and I've learned how to discipline it. But there is a lot of points in my life where it was like, I was very unstructured, impulsive, had bad anxiety. And it was like, because I didn't have structure and I could become really distracted easily. Mm-hmm. So I had to really like try to harness all of that and fix all that sides of it. So if you can figure it out and like harness it, I can tap into the creativity side of it, of like profiting from it in a sense by all that experience of having to have an imagination,
That's a good way to put it because that's the one thing that I did like about school, having the structure.
Yeah.
And that's, I honestly hated school. I didn't really like the school that I went to. And then like all of my classmates kind of sucked all the way up to like college. So when I left, I liked the freedom, but at the same time, the structure was good because as useless as school is, it still like teaches you to become like a production machine.
Yeah.
Where they're like, pump out a paper in 2 weeks or you're going to fail. And you're like, I don't fucking pretend like I read this book.
Yeah.
And like, you just learn how to like produce stuff.
Yeah.
And when you kind of work in like stand up or like anything like entertainment related, you're kind of like your own boss, which is so dangerous.
Dude, it is.
Especially with a lot of like former coke addicts.
Yeah. Yeah, that structure is important. And that's even something I had to really, like now it's almost, I lean into being such a structured person because I know that lazy side of me and that crazy side is in me.
The crazy part is that it's always going to be inside you. So it's so easy to relapse.
Yeah. Girl, not to make you worried. No.
That's why you have your wife though. She'll keep you in line.
Yeah. Well, that's like the thing is,
or your fiance.
Yeah. It's like, it feels like I get so much reward from being disciplined. Like, I'm sure, do you feel good when you like have a day where you did everything? I don't know if you do. I do checklists of like my daily tasks. When I check everything off and I'm like, I did all those things I needed to do. I got that done. I did this and that. I feel so good. But then the days where I don't do that and I do kind of relapse and have like a wild day, I don't feel good about it. And it's like, I need to switch that up. Like, and I don't allow myself to like slide back too far to where it's like, no, this is going to completely, the wheels will come off. So I just look at reward systems of like, I try to put as much as I can on my side, That's
a really good way to think about it because like to truly be free, you have to like constrain yourself. That's why people love working out because like you feel like shit for an hour, but the next 12 hours, you feel good, like productive, right?
Yeah.
And
like, one of my favorite quotes that I always love saying is, if you seek a life of freedom, you'll become a slave to your desires. But if you seek discipline, you'll find liberty.
Is it by that I think he wrote a book. He was like a bodybuilder or something like that. Some Marine guy.
I think it goes back further than that. It might have been like Roosevelt or something.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I'm sure a lot of bodybuilders have said it though, but it's exactly what you're saying. Like you look at the discipline and it just teaches you so much from it. Like working out does suck, but then after that, and you get like so much of like knowing that you can stay structured and in something feels good and like kind of gives you confidence that you can do other stuff. Especially in an age of like technology where there's so many possible distractions.
I feel so bad for the kids, dude. Like, how do you not just like get sucked up in it? Like, why would you want to leave the house when you can just stare at TikTok and play like your PS5 all day?
It's nuts. I don't know. Like, that's what's weird is what is going to happen in like 20, 25 years. You want to have
kids?
Huh?
You want to have kids?
I do.
Okay. How would you parent them these days?
No screens. That's the thing is like this.
No screens completely or? Like,
it'll be
to what
very,
extent?
very limited to the point where they're not that's the thing is like I've waited to have kids for a while. My fiance and I both have like decided we're waiting until we have things in place to like be able to dedicate time to it because like this house is an investment and it's going to be investment in the next house where I'm going to have land, I'm going to have chickens, I'm going to have like a garden. And it's going to be like, I discipline myself with my phone where like, I don't sleep with it in the room. I like, you know, when I work, I put it away and I set a timer to like make sure things are structured. And I'm going to do the same thing when I have kids and like try to lead by example of like, I'm not always on my phone and I'm not going to distract them because I feel like for some parents, and I don't know, it turns into like a babysitter. Like you give them the iPad and then you can have a conversation. You can do whatever. Just put on this movie. Do this. And then it's like a rabbit hole of like, you're setting them up. And I feel like I want to just have, I want to have enough kids to where I can manage it. Like I don't want 4 or 5 or 6 where it's like, shit's crazy.
How many is enough?
2 to 3 tops.
2 to 3. Okay. I also had like 4, or I guess 3 siblings like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and we had a cousin that lived with us also. So there was 5 of us. So, and I'm the youngest. So I know, like that's the thing when you start having kids, attention doesn't split evenly. So that first one gets 100%, then it goes 50-50, and then goes 33%, and then it's like 4. But it's like, it doesn't necessarily work like that.
No. Whoever's the favorite.
Yeah.
And whoever priority, like if one kid is like not doing well in school, like their mental health is like in shambles, that one's getting 100%. Middle, bottom, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
you're
like
always putting out fires.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that like it doesn't evenly spread. So like I want to have enough kids where it's manageable and then do activities with them. Like that's how I'm going to try to.
That's my plan to be a parent. I'm gonna hang out with my daughter so she don't be a stripper.
Well, dude, honestly, that's like kind of it is like I think you love them and you give them activities and spend time with them. I'm sure I'm going to make so many mistakes, but like I'm just going to try to not just babysit them with the screen, you know, because.
I heard the saddest thing that my aunt said the other day. She has a little kid, and he likes to stay indoors like any other kid. And she was like, "Yeah, he's been playing with the VR set. He's sweating, so at least he gets a workout." And I was like, "That sounds so sad. Like, go play with a frisbee or something."
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna put my kids in sports and just outdoor stuff, hiking, hunting, fishing.
I will say this though, as like I'm not too in tune with pop culture. Even today, even as a kid, like I couldn't name a band when I was 11. And so like you miss out on a lot of pop culture. Like I don't even know who like I heard somebody like talk about Chelsea Handler and I was like, who is that?
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I hardly know who Tom Cruise is. I just know he's like a hot white guy. Like it's hard because like my girlfriend, she's on TikTok and she's like always like referencing shit from it. Like all these trends, like getting slapped in the face with a tortilla. And I'm like, and like, there's a big disconnect. It literally feels like I'm like dating a girl who's like 30 years younger than me, which is also kind of hot in my mind. But there's a big disconnect. And I'm sure like whenever you decide to have kids in like 5-10 years, it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like finding a balance because it's like because even when I was homeschooled, there was other like homeschool kids that were completely off the reservation where it was like their parents.
Did you grow up on like an Indian reservation?
No. I mean the reservation, like it means that they were like living Little House on the Prairie, where it was like they're completely disconnected from any form of pop culture. Weren't allowed to watch Star Wars. Weren't allowed to like play any kind of.
How religious were they?
Pretty religious, the ones that I'm thinking. But they had zero social skills, and it was like their parents leaned too hard into the disconnect from pop culture to protect their kids. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people do it for, is the idea of like the schools are rotting the minds kind of thing. But they went too hard the other direction.
Were they at least super smart?
Book smart.
Okay.
Which there is some benefit to book smart, but that's like only half the picture. Is like you got to have like socially, you got to be street smart, you got to like realistically of like, you know, real world value smart.
Let me know what you think about this and if you would be on board. I wish I could go back and like as like a junior in high school, like 16 years old, just take myself out and just like live in like some remote island, like working odd jobs just for like a year to where like you gotta like live on your own. Like throw me in like some rural village in Thailand and then like make me like become a fisherman. Oh, dude, you
Yeah.
learn everything you need to learn in a year.
Yeah. I 1000% agree. I would love that. Because I do think you get so many life like skills from those kind of environments.
Yeah, that's the shit that you remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's so much like I think that could have been better because you said you didn't care about high school. You didn't like it.
No, dude, I did not give a shit about learning about like World War II.
Yeah. I mean, history now is exciting to me and like it's interesting. But when I was in high school, I gave two shits. But there could have been so much benefit to real world application because that's like what that is going to live on a remote island is like you're actually learning the real structure of society and like these real skills. And that's like something that people don't get in high school. Like I was talking about someone on the Pythagorean theory. I'm like, what? Like, why didn't we learn about finance and learn about credit cards and interest rates and stuff to like prepare you?
Right.
Because that's even something like me buying this house. I knew nothing about home loans. And like I'm self-employed, so it's a completely different world of like buying a house. And I'm like, no one taught me anything about this. And then it's like, you have to do so much like learning on your own to learn how to do any like real world financial stuff.
And then you really have to trust the broker, like the real estate agent. And then they kind of explain to you what a balloon payment is and like whether or not like a 6% interest rate on this house is good. But it's kind of a lie because they want the fucking commission.
Yeah. No, it's a whole thing. Have you had any jobs like that where you're like you learned a lot from it, like going to like not being a fisherman, but have you put yourself in that situation? What's stopping you from doing that? How old are you?
What?
How old are you right
Having
now?
a kid?
Going to a remote island and kind of just
I kind of to an extent I did that, and then I did learn a couple things from that life. I initially this is like the start of COVID. I went off the grid for like 4 months. I was just like living out of my dad's truck, just like driving around Utah, Colorado, California.
Really?
And I initially went out there to work at a adventure therapy program. Which is where you take like not challenge, but like mentally. I was about to say mentally challenged. No, they're just having a rough time in life, like depressed, anxious, suicidal. You just take them out to the woods. Great program. Did not like being a teacher.
Really?
I did not have the patience. I didn't get mad. I was just like, there's other shit to do. It wasn't that rewarding. It was cool though. And I was just like hiking and like solo backpacking for 4 months. And then it was definitely like the happiest time of my life. But also my biggest epiphany was that happiness is like kind of boring up until a certain point. Like I had everything I needed. I was like I would eat a lot. I still eat a lot. And that's basically a sign that I'm unhappy. Up there on the mountains, I was like, I don't really need to eat. Yeah. So I was like, I was happy, but also like kind of bored.
Really?
So I think there's a trade-off because like you can only sleep on a mountain by yourself for so long.
Right.
That's when you realize you just got to share the world with people, but also like find this weird balance between being happy and then like being happy within society.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like kind of why I drifted back towards comedy. I know how to be happy, but like there's something beyond happiness, and it's almost like feeling like illuminated, almost like kind of like being on stage in that aspect where like you're not just content, you feel like almost like a god. Not for where people praise you, but you're like, holy shit, like this is something. Like
it sounds like passion. Like I know that feeling of being on stage. Having something that you're passionate about and really gets you excited. Yeah. You know, that's what definitely comedy feels like for me. When you were backpacking, what do you think made you happy? Was it the satisfaction of accomplishment.
Being away from family.
Do you think that was a lot of it?
Yeah, I think that was most of it. Happiest time I've ever been, I would say. I think, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a point in life where you, especially for young men, I can only speak for young men, that there's a time where you have to kind of separate from family and kind of go out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take a lot of those expectations of family away and the kind of
The baggage that comes.
yeah, because your family can have a lot of perspective on you, that there is their view of you and can kind of put you in a box of who you are. And then when you kind of get out into the world and you can kind of explore things, you're a blank slate of who
That's
you are.
a great way to put it. That's a fantastic way to put it. Yeah, you're a new person,
Yeah.
right?
And there's not a lot of expectations.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I was just talking to my cousins and they're all like juniors in high school. So thinking about college.
Yeah.
Every cousin in my town and every adult in my family is like a business person, entrepreneur. All the kids in this generation are like, I'm going to be a business major. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, fuck, do something else. Study like sociology or something, like something interesting. So it really makes or breaks you. It's not until you go to college and then you like just don't talk to family for like half a year that you're like, holy shit, this is not me.
Yeah.
It took me shrooms to realize I was depressed because of like family expectations.
Yeah.
I needed like psychedelics to tell me you're not happy. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I understand that 100%. You know, I went through some pretty crazy family stuff, losing a sibling who passed away. And when I was 16 years old, so it was like kind of a pivotal age. And it made me go into a weird mode for my family where I was like, I'm just going to not make waves. I'm going to do whatever kind of makes my family happy. And I ended up in nursing school in Puerto Rico. So... But what was crazy is I was just like, I'm just going to do this and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be all good. And then, like you said, like getting away. I mean, I was 30,000 miles away from family. I was in Puerto Rico and I'd be smoking fucking blunts on the beach. And I was like, I'm not going to be a fucking nurse. Like, that's when I really
Hell yeah, dude.
started exploring like creativity, doing music and videos. And it was like, no, I'm going to do this shit. Like, fuck all that shit that I'm like, you know, this weird mold that I was following. So like, I get that a lot. And that's why I do get bummed out. And that's the thing is like, there was a lot of, I'm sure it was depression and anxiety that I would get when I thought that was the trajectory of my life was I'm going to be a nurse or I'm going to do this. And it wasn't me. And when you're not like being your authentic self, I think that's where like depressive thoughts and like anxiety comes from.
Right.
Is like you're not like it's your system telling you like, hey, something's fucked up. We're not doing what we're supposed to be
You're
doing.
not doing what you should be doing. And
Yeah.
it's almost always in hand with like family. At least for me. I think for most people.
I think for a lot of people.
like beyond just like society expectations, it's just family.
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise a person.
Yeah. And for me, I've been able to shed like some of the thoughts of like, I don't blame family because like once you get older, you start realizing what your parents had growing up. Like it's like each generation tries to just do a little bit better in different experiences that I'm like, oh, you were once a kid too that dealt with your own kind of issues. And based on what you had, you did so much better than what you had. And then it's like that perspective going forward is kind of like the way that I've looked at it. And like, you know, because I think if you've ever dealt with family stuff, you have a little bit of bitterness towards it where you're angry, you know?
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of like release the coal in my hand a little bit, being like, oh, you were once a kid
That's a great term.
that had your own drama.
If only you could like get on the same page about like what it means to be successful.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest generation gap, like what it takes to be successful. I think the younger generations, I'm including you too.
Thanks.
I don't know, like in the 80s, I'm
introducing geriatric
as a
people.
creative.
Yeah. But I appreciate
You're
that.
the exception, Evan, all right?
But yeah. I
No,
know
but
what you're saying.
with the younger generations, especially the more creative you are, I think the definition of success becomes a little bit more broad. Versus if you talk to like a Filipino immigrant who came here like 60 years ago, it's like more specific, like be a doctor, like be an engineer.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah.
1000%. That's something that I think a lot of people who their parents didn't immigrate here, don't necessarily even have to deal with is the expectation of like what your parents or your grandparents experienced was they're just trying to get like, just be successful, be financially safe, have a roof over your head. And they're like, what career? A doctor. You got to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You got to do this. Cause like in nursing school, I had a lot of Filipino friends.
I'm sure.
And it was they were so just, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I have a couple buddies who were like, I don't want to do this. And they in their mind, it was so locked in that they had to do it.
I thought I was like born and bred to become an investment banker. Then I took shrooms. Dude, if you gave everybody in the world like a hit of shrooms or acid, nobody would be at a bank. Half the nurses and doctors would quit. Dude.
Yeah,
that's why it's illegal.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right. I've been doing microdosing, but I gotta jump into that macro dosing, you know? But there is that awakening that you kind of have where it is so beneficial to get away and just to be your own person.
Yeah.
Because for some people, it might not even be their family. It could be relationships. It could be small hometown mind of, you know, like
all the time.
You know, it's like you have to let go of a lot of stuff. It seems like letting go is a big part of everything, whether that's expectations, whether it's security of having family around, or, you know, security of your hometown. Like you have to.
You mentioned security a lot, and like it's crazy because like immigrants do like wild things to like get a roof over their head in America. Just getting over here, like getting papers, like paying off the right person, like working crazy jobs. They start their own businesses. It's like the most unconventional way, and then at the end of the day, all they want is like structure and like a conventional life. Yeah. Which is wild.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you would think like you want to be an entrepreneur and then like kind of live life on your own. It was a shitty path, but like you kind of lived the right way to get to like a shittier, like not shittier life, but like a more confined life.
Yeah.
Right? Just to become more safe, you became less of a person.
Yeah. That's a very interesting perspective because they did take the craziest chance and were just like, complete entrepreneurs. Man, that is nuts. I think that happens. And I think a lot of it is like, I did that, so you don't have to do that. That's like kind of the mindset. But it's like you almost build all the character and personality in that struggle of building something.
Yeah.
Like how satisfying is it for you when you write a bit that started off bad, is just an idea, and then it becomes polished and now
haven't gotten there yet.
But even like the shows you produce, to take something from nothing and work hard looking for venues, and then this goes bad, and then you're like having a well-ran show. You're just like, I built this from nothing, you know?
That's kind of, I think that's the secret to like keeping a strong mental headspace in comedy or in like anything creative, just having something to look forward to
and building towards.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you just wait for opportunities, you're fucked.
Yeah. You get stagnant, and then it is interesting how like everything shifted into, I mean, I like it is the idea technology's making it this way, but like creative stuff is becoming more accessible to the creatives. You don't need record labels like you used to. You don't need video producers. For most of the stuff within being a comedian, you can almost self-produce your own career. Entirely. Which is amazing.
Shout out to Andrew Schultz for showing everybody.
Yeah. I mean, he's done phenomenal things. And that's the thing is like, I love the space that creativity is in right now because it's a big collaboration rather than everybody worried that someone else is doing better than them or getting ahead of them or getting more stuff. It's more of just like, no, everybody's stronger. Like it's like Planet of the Apes where it's like ape together strong, you know? That's really what it is like, I like that, the mindset that comedians have right now.
That is the one thing that I should be pursuing right now. It's just like taking advantage of like the creative network. Yeah. So I'm too much of like a lone wolf.
You're
to
a
be
lone
doing
wolf
that,
out there.
which is a big problem and a big crutch to any shortcomings I have as a comic. Yeah, just like taking advantage of like the creative energy around you.
Yeah. I suffer from that too. And it probably, honestly, it probably ties back to my childhood of being homeschooled, of like I've always kind of been on my own. So that it's like I think I'm not naturally inclined. I'm more of a like I'll just figure it out and do my own thing. But it's like
same.
But there's so much power in reaching out to people and collaborating on things.
I'm interested to see what you think about this. During my therapy sessions back in my day, I realized that, well, I guess we realized that it was easier to like kick off a relationship, like running into like somebody at the supermarket, having a good conversation with them. But like it was hard to maintain a relationship. I really struggled to like maintain like a deep relationship with like family members, even though I care about them and all that stuff. But it's easier to like open up to like strangers. Does that happen with you?
Yeah. Because I definitely think it's easier to talk to people. Like I would always, in the sauna at gyms, randomly, that sounds so weird. But like I would have like these like deeply philosophical talks about life and everything. And I love my parents, I love my dad, but for me to sit down, he's just from different generation. He was raised in Brooklyn with 16 brothers and sisters. So it's like a completely different world that he grew up in. But I would never be like, I just don't think I'm happy and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's also because there is no expectations. They don't have all these different, and there's no stakes if you're talking to someone new. There's not a lot of pressure of like, I'm going to have to interact with this person for the next 30 years, of it being your family or something like that. I don't know if that answered the question or if that was the right.
Kinda, yeah. That's.
What do you think?
Think about what specifically?
Like, why do you think it's easier to talk to strangers than your own family? I don't know,
man. I think I got to take more shrooms to get down to that level. I just think because like I don't know, sometimes you watch like YouTube videos of like comedians hanging out with their family. Like they're so expressive. I've like gone the opposite direction. As a kid, it was easier to do that. But as I delved into comedy, like I became more introverted around family. Maybe it's insecurity about doing comedy. That's probably 80% of it. I told myself if I ever quit comedy, it's because of like pressure and like weird stuff I feel around family. That's why I think I have to like not leave family and cut them off, but like not be in the same town. Yeah. Because once they keep asking you shit like, oh, how much money you make from this spot, or like you open up for like when are you doing Netflix and shit like that? It's like,
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. My family has been pretty supportive of comedy, and comedy is one of the first things that I really, once I started doing it, it made kind of sense to everybody because I've always kind of been like into comedy and like doing stuff. Yeah. Like, but it also is something like I haven't performed in front of family. I didn't tell anybody for a long time that when I first started, and it was like I wanted to be really protective of it, and I didn't want this thing that I was really passionate about to be either made fun of or just feel like it'd be deflated kind of thing, where it felt like, because it sucks, and that happens where I've been told that I was going to do this for the rest of my life and blah blah blah. And it like expectations of who you were going to be in your family. And like, I've always pushed away from that, where I was just like, and I had to fight like going upriver, cause like even working construction, my dad wanted me to take over the business and would try to, say things and like, oh, you do this and blah, blah, blah. It's this great thing. And I'm like, yeah, but that's your thing. That's not my thing. And like, it was a struggle, especially when I was younger. Like, how old are you?
26.
Okay. So even around that time, I would be, if my dad needed help with construction and everything, like I would be there, and there was like that feeling of like he would want me to take over the business, and this was before. Like that's the thing is like I have a video production company and everything, but like I'm just further along on the uncomfortable, awkward growth of being a creative person. Like at your age, I was still not having any results. I was still working odd jobs, doing food delivery, and just like, it was always just a pipe dream and a vision in my head.
Hell yeah.
None of it looked like reality. It just looked like Evan wants to do something with videos and do this. And like, I don't know, he's doing like music and everything, but like none of that pays the bills. And it wasn't until like you literally just have to keep pushing upstream. And then eventually it'll start making sense because it's like, oh, you made this money from that? Oh, you did this? Oh, this is starting to actually work. And then it's like once it picks up momentum and steam. And like I even went through that with friends where it's like they went to college with me or at the same time, and then they got a degree and then they got a great paying job. And then I had to move back home because I couldn't afford a place. And then I was just the weird guy with a camera that lived at my parents' house in his 20s. And then it was like so awkward and miserable.
I'm the comedy version of you,
dude. People who are in creative industries don't talk about that enough. That we all go through it feeling uncomfortable and just like terrible. And then it's like you want to quit and you're just like, you feel like, oh, this is embarrassing. You run into people. And then like, it wasn't until 5 to 10 years into being creative and like really pursuing it that it started becoming a financial thing that I can make money, that it worked out well. And then once you're able to actually build a career, the people who were stuck in those 9-to-5s that got the good degrees are like, oh shit, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And then you're like, motherfucker, while you were taking that safe job and just clocking in and getting that nice car you drove around, and I was driving that fucking beater everywhere, I was working on this, you know, and I was struggling. So, I mean, yeah, man. And that's what makes it beautiful is the struggle to get there, you know?
Yeah. The journey really is like the destination, I would say.
Yeah, man. It really is. And that's where all those good feelings come from. And you don't pick up all the skills unless you go through that struggle and all that perseverance. Like that's another thing with like raising kids. I think that is hard is you want to do things for them and make it easy for them. But it's like, if you make it too easy for them, they're not going to have that skill set.
Dude, that's the story of my life. That's like
Really?
my headspace in a nutshell. Just because my parents they did pretty well like financially. I remember like 2008 recession. We were living in like a nice house. Parents were driving Mercedes, and I was like, "What is a recession, dude?" And I was like, "I'm fucked."
Oh man. But I honestly think you're self-aware, and I think you are. I think you understand the big picture. And I think that even with hearing about what it was like for you to go kind of backpacking for that time and everything, you're like looking for the right things. You're trying to figure out, you know, like you want that satisfaction. And I think you're passionate about it, man. I think
trying to be, yeah, because I don't know if you were ever like this as a kid, since you kind of were just kind of like building your own schedule as a kid, and it's just like
I wasn't doing it well. It was like
Yeah.
wasting a lot of time trying to
I
spit
just
it out,
like comedy because like I've never been good at anything. Like I like tennis a lot. I played a lot. I was never that good. So there's constantly kind of just been like this yearning, like this thirst to be good at something.
Yeah.
And so comedy is like that thing right now. I've never really like pursued something heavily for like 3 years to this extent.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten on stage like almost 1,000 times now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You keep track?
Yeah. I got like little like pieces of paper where I just
should've
like put
done
little
that.
hashtags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about, is like just figuring out what you're passionate about and pursuing it, and something that's difficult. Like, I think that's why a lot of comedians are drawn to it, is because it is a difficult puzzle to figure out.
It's a fun puzzle. Yeah, I would say. But also a lot of comics say they do it because it's like they had no other option.
Really?
Yeah, because they'd be like, what else would I be doing?
Yeah.
Besides just like driving Uber Eats and then like doing coke occasionally.
A lot of coke. Christian, we did over an hour.
Okay. We had a nice moment.
We had a beautiful moment. I was very happy with this podcast. We really got into some real stuff. And yeah, man, we should do this again.
Yeah, I'm down. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course. What is plug everything that you have, upcoming shows, your handles?
On Instagram, my name is Chris Tan. You can find me there at Devoutly Chris Tan. People think it's Christian. got a YouTube channel I'm trying to build up. It's just Chris Tan right now. And I run a show next Friday. When does this get released?
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Oh, shit. Okay. It's September 30th. So next Friday, I have a show at the Alamo Draft House. We give away free movie tickets.
Oh, hell
so
yeah.
So you can laugh, come watch Bullet Train, and then cry afterwards.
That's beautiful. So check out all of Chris's stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, no matter what, we still love you. Give him a kiss. Give him a little kiss. All right, we go with a little.